グレートガーユナイテッドエンパイア今日は試合があったそして彼がエンパイアの応援してくれるんですよみんなブローキンテーブルポッドキャストよろしく
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with our co-host, the reigning, defending Broken Predictions champion, King Rome. How you doing tonight, sir?
How do you think I'm doing, Jeff? How do you how do you think I'm fucking doing?
I mean, judging by the way things have been going in Discord, I'm gonna say not well, and the recent revelations in the CM Punk stuff seems to have been getting you a little down.
Look, all right. So the thing is, you got to understand that when the heart wants something, the heart doesn't stop wanting it. You know what I mean? Does it mean it's a healthy thing? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't mean it's healthy. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care if he's the problem. You think I care? I do, but no, no, I'm doing terribly. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel you, man. It's rough out here as a CM Punk fan. Um, this is why we didn't touch on it too much last week, guys. Obviously we are both some CM Punk marks over here, so we just been keeping a little quiet, and it is what it is at the moment. But I'm really hoping that he can. And I'm saying he now. It sounds like everybody else is ready to go, but he is the one being a little childish here, or being a little bit of an asshole, I guess would be the word. I'm hoping he can come around and realize that, like everyone was saying in Discord, they made some really good points. Like, if it smells like shit everywhere you go, maybe it's your shoes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it just doesn't add up for me. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying like, oh, there's no way CM Punk isn't a toxic human being. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like just a lot of it just doesn't line up. And I still think back to a lot of smaller things that add to the overall story. And my thought process is like, well, that's interesting. That's weird. Like, why was it so important to like mention, oh, FTR wasn't there that night, or
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things. And
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
so I think I can explain a little bit of it to you that way. So I think they did have a talk, and everybody thought things were getting smoothed over. And so they did start planting little things here and there, but then that Instagram post happened. You know what I mean?
But that's the next part that I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're toxic, you have like Phil Brooks is not an idiot. Even if he's
No.
toxic, he's not an idiot. Like, this guy's clearly not a fucking idiot. So I don't know. I sit here and I think about it, and it's just like, I don't know what to believe in the sense that like it's just it makes no sense for CM Punk to get worked up over something Dave Meltzer said, and then Punk, like, I don't know, just in general, just didn't make sense to do it, and it just doesn't. So I mean, I don't know. I think that taking it at face value, obviously he's 100% in the wrong. Um, fandom
Yeah.
aside, I mean, you can't argue it. It's dude's just we're trying to get back on track, and he's just saying dumb shit. Like I don't even understand what the point of doing that was. Like, okay, you haven't seen Rocky, you didn't like Mox's story, but then the thing is about Punk is that just there's things that don't add up to the story. Like, so CM Punk goes to say that Moxley didn't want to lose to him, and then has no problem losing to him at the pay per view. And then they talk about CM Punk's foot, right? How it was just weird because, like, number one, I really don't think Tony Khan in AEW would tell him to do a squash before he's legally, or not legally, medically cleared.
No.
So he's trying to say that, like, oh, AEW wanted me to come in and do this squash match while I wasn't cleared yet. Mind you, he's not. So if you're not medically cleared and you're you're not medically cleared at this one Dynamite show. Mind you, number one, you wrestle 11 days later. Number two, the week before this squash match, you're hopping around on said foot. And then we're
Yeah.
supposed to believe that, like, you didn't feel comfortable about it, so you sent a legal memo. Like, I don't know, a lot of it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
It's just
But
nonsensical.
that kind of leads me into our next thing here, which was the All Access show. I'm sure you caught that, but the segment with the Bucks, talking about how that was kind of a black eye on their career, and they just kind of like mentioned it for 1 second and then cut it off, like, but we don't want to talk about that.
Right.
That came off to me really like it was all, legit, you know what I mean? Like it definitely solidified for me that it was all legit,
See, and this is why I did
What up,
not
coach?
enjoy I didn't enjoy the first episode of All Access, admittedly.
I was in backstage wrestling heaven, dude.
Well, like, no, there was a lot of cool stuff, right? There was. But for me, it just felt like I understand legal things, but it just felt like such a cop out. Like,
You're talking about for that incident?
yeah, and obviously there's more episodes to go, so who knows where we go with this. But for me, I'm watching this episode and I'm like, well, this show is supposed to be like the backstage,
Yeah.
hey, here's what's happening, and you have this giant thing that happened that everyone wants to know about, and you don't even, like, you just skirt around it. And again, I understand
Well,
if legal
that
things are in the way, legal things are in the way. But I just feel like the way it was handled in general, like, obviously they did it in a way where it's like, hey, the fans know what we're talking about, but we're not talking about this. And to do it right in episode one, I was just like, man, that's deflating. I was like, all right, well,
yeah. For me, that kind of signifies that they really do think of this as a black eye, and they're not gonna shine light on it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, but I get that. That to me, that's
but
hypocritical of the show.
so
Okay, well then don't do the show.
stepping back from the incident, I thought this was great though. The production of this was something that could have been aired on HBO. Like this was HBO quality. Like I was very impressed at the entire production of this show.
I mean, yeah, it was a well-shot show, and there definitely was some cool stuff there. Yeah, I mean, it was good. There was
Yeah,
some
I
good
loved
stuff.
it. Especially, this kind of goes back to the whole Punk working on saying that he was still injured and not cleared. You're telling me that the same guy that wouldn't let Adam Cole appear at Full Gear saying, "Nah, you're not ready," is not going to let CM Punk or is going to let CM Punk go out there on a broken foot? Like there's no way, dude. Like Samson is you know what I mean? Like you're trying to tell me that same guy made those two decisions? No way.
Right. I mean, and people forget this, but there were issues in the past where bad faith people were very critical of Doc Samson. If you remember Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara during the pandemic, where Matt took that fall off the scaffolding, um, and they were like, "Oh, Matt's concussed. What the hell? Matt shouldn't be going back out there." And he went and finished the match. Samson says, well, he passed the concussion test. He passed this. He said he was good to go. And then he
Mhm.
ended up, I don't remember if he actually ended up having a concussion or not. But, I mean, like, regardless of whether it's in good faith or in bad faith, Doc Samson has always taken his shit seriously. And again, it
Yeah.
just doesn't line up. Like, you want me to believe that you want me to believe that AEW is doing this thing where it's like, No, they stop matches. They do everything they're supposed to do in every other situation, but this is like the one situation like where he's not clear. Like, cause like I just don't buy it. If he was like, if they didn't care if he was like hurt or not, they would have booked him for Forbidden Door to get squashed at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Like that was a big draw for them in Chicago. CM Punk was a big part of that gate for them, and I just don't see that as a feasible thing where it's like, okay, well in June we don't have it, we have an issue with you wrestling, but in August you're still not cleared, but we're okay with it now. I don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's just all a big mess still, I guess. I thought the longer things went by, the more clear it was going to be of, what's going on, but not even close. So let's go ahead and get into our AEW Dynamite review. This is episode number 130 for our AEW Dynamite review. This Dynamite was out of St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Louis, Missouri, and this crowd was fan-freaking-tastic. I think you had said it in Discord right when I was like trying to figure out what city they were in. I was like, what town is this? These guys are awesome. And it was St. Louis, Missouri, man. Great crowd here. Or last night. I was going to say tonight, but last night for AEW Dynamite. Now, we started off with Jungle Boy versus Matt Hardy. I was waiting for Orange Cassidy's music to hit, but no, we got Jungle Boy's music instead. Now, we kind of do have a little bit of a luxury doing this on Thursday night here. We have the ratings, for Dynamite, which didn't really get any sort of a pop. We were at 833,000. So a lot of people are saying that it was the wrong choice to start off with Jungle Boy versus Matt Hardy. What do you think on that? I don't think that at all.
I don't think that at all either. Unfortunately, even with Orange Cassidy opening the show, while he is a ratings draw, I mean the numbers are there. I mean we're seeing it. You see the same thing with WWE and Monday Night Football. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like sports are sports and they compete. I mean, right now you have the NBA going on, you have the NHL going on.
They were going up against 2 basketball games and whatever that Vanderpump Rules crap is.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, with basketball, especially with the season winding down, you're getting down to the wire. Playoffs are around the corner.
Yeah, people are trying to get into that last play-in spot.
Exactly. There's a lot going on right now, and I just think that. I mean, we've seen it. Their ratings are so. The thing that sucks is that just during sports season, like this is what they're dealing with. Like it's a blessing and a curse because they don't compete with the NFL, so their ratings are generally a little bit better in the later half of the year. But I mean, yeah, I mean you're going to compete with the NHL, you're going to compete with the NBA, like you're going to do not the best numbers.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I thought this was a fine number, right in the range of what they've been doing, over the past 6 months, probably right there in the average. Man, Matt Hardy got some massive delete chants here. Did you notice how like this crowd was super into Matt Hardy for this one?
I thought the crowd was super into both of them. I mean, Jack.
They were. We got the big time "Let's Go Hardy," Jungle Boy chants going on. That was nice.
Yeah.
Dude, this match kicked ass. I was actually like really impressed at the end of this match with how good Matt Hardy still is, man. This guy. He's older than me. I'm fairly certain, and I'm ancient over here. Like this dude, he did 3 side effects: one on the outside, one on the apron, one in the ring. Jungle Boy just taking side effects left and right. Like this match was freaking awesome, man. For some reason, they showed Sammy and Ty Conti backstage watching. I guess that's because they're all trying to make their way towards MJF, so they're just kind of watching each other's matches. Is that what you're taking from that too?
That's absolutely. I really liked it. I enjoyed having this them all watching. And I think it's great. It's building this great lineup and very enjoyable. I enjoyed the little tidbit with Sammy's watching and he's trying to watch, but Ty doesn't want to watch. Ty wants to do something else. Shivani's like, I think you should probably pay a little bit more attention.
But yeah, this was a great match. Ethan Page tried to get involved multiple times. Did you notice the barricades? I'm not sure if this was new, but it was the first time that they've utilized this new there's a rubber on top of the barricade that allowed Jungle Boy to get up on top of it and stand on it with no issues whatsoever.
No, I did not notice.
Yeah, so on these new barricades that they've had, like I know that they're a lot harder to move these things. I just noticed there's a black rubber, almost like a handguard on an escalator, and it allowed Jungle Boy. He just hopped right up on the barricade and jumped off and did a nice spot off of him. I remember back when we had the old barricades that would move all of the, people were trying to stand on those and falling all over the place. It was kind of goofy looking. So I'm glad they got this rubber on there. It makes it real easy to do some spots off of these barricades. I like it.
Yeah.
So Ethan Page tries to get involved again, but Hook comes out. Hook gets into a fight with with Ethan Page. Matt Hardy takes a big shot from Hook, and that allows Jungle Boy to pick up the win. This was great, man. They showed Darby Allin watching as well. After the match, Jungle Boy is celebrating, and MJF's music hits, man. And I was, I should have expected it, but I didn't. I actually popped. I was like, yes, let's go. You know what I mean? So, good job on their part, man. This whole sequence, this match, and leading into this MJF segment was very well done.
Yeah, and I mean, what follows is just an absolute so this Four Pillars storyline has just really been crushing it. Home run last 2
Absolutely.
weeks. And this week was no different. I thought that this promo was just absolutely incredible. Really loved it. So like you said, MJF comes out. And Tony Schiavone had a funny line where like he said MJF was a boil on the butt of pro wrestling. And Excalibur's like, Tony, you can say the A word. But so MJF,
I missed that. That's great.
yeah. So MJF says he doesn't appreciate Jack Perry and the other guys interrupting his rebar mitzvah. He says it's kind of a Kanye move on their part. He also says that St. Louis isn't exactly forward thinking itself. And he goes to touch on the fact that Jack Perry said it during the rebar mitzvah. He said, you have it so easy, MJF. You don't have to do anything. You get handed every opportunity. MJF says, you're right, Jack. I barely wrestle. I barely do anything. I shit on the fans, collect my paycheck, and fly home to Long Island. And then he turns to Jack. He says, your career's been mid so far, but you worked your ass off for it. And you've never been thanked by the fans or rewarded with TV time. And then MJF says, don't be mad at this company or me. Be mad at yourself. At the same time, MJF starts putting over Jack Perry. Just really good work here where I think we weren't doing the podcast at the time, obviously, but I had said this because Forrest was over watching. I was watching the pay-per-view with somebody, and they had that MJF versus Jack Perry match, and I was like this is the two. Like, this is the Batman Joker dynamic you're going to see in AEW, where it's like the ultimate heel and the ultimate babyface kind of going at it. And MJF says, like, when after that match, I felt like I finally found my equal, the guy that I was going to do this dance with for years to come into the future. He says, I even went backstage after the match and shook your hand and like seeked you out and found you, shook your hand. And what did I tell you that night? And he talks about how his advice was, nice guys always finish last. He says, you didn't take my advice. You continued to hang out with Marco Growth Stunt. Luchasaurus and Christian Cage. He goes on to say, great call, by the way, on that one. Oof. And then so Jack grabs the mic and he says that, in some ways he wishes he was more like MJF. He acknowledges he's not the best talker. He wishes that he could not care about other people. He wishes he could do some of the things MJF could do because it would be the easy way to do things. Then goes on to basically call MJF a piece of shit and doesn't care about those things. I really loved Jack talking about his flaws here. And again, both guys just putting each other over. You have MJF saying, like, this dude is a beast in the ring. He can go. He is great. He is awesome. But he's not good enough to beat me. And then Jack Perry on the flip side is saying, like, yeah, man, you are awesome. There's a lot of things I wish I were like that. but at the same time, I know I'm better than you because I'm going to do things the right way. And that right there is just like that's how you book a smart wrestling program for years to come, where you have both of these guys who they respect each other for what they can do, but they fucking hate each other's guts. And I love it.
Yeah, that's a good dynamic too when, they respect each other but also hate each other. Makes for a really good Batman Joker type thing, like you said.
Yep.
So MJF decides to mention Anna Jay, says that Anna Jay told him that Jungle Boy was weak between the knees, and that pissed Jungle Boy off, as it should any man, and MJF got his ass beat. I actually really, really enjoyed this from beginning to end. The Jungle Boy versus Matt Hardy match, the MJF promo was freaking fantastic. Jungle Boy coming back was fantastic, and their little scuffle here was great. I thought this was awesome beginning to end. All right, next up we had Kenny Omega and Don Callis backstage. And of all the directions that we kind of thought that this was possibly going to be going, after Don Callis pointing at Hangman, trying to tell Kenny that Hangman hit me, I did not see this one. I could have wrote down 5 different ways of what was going to happen here. I did not see Don Callis just being like, "Oh, you know what, Kenny? I lost my balance. I was holding on to his wrist really hard, and I just, I lost my balance. I got to go apologize to him." I did not see that one coming. Did you? Did you?
No, but I mean, I thought it was an interesting way to go. I do wonder how much Matt Jackson's injury has affected the storyline and how fast they're moving along with the storyline. But at the same time, it does make a lot of sense for, like, surely somebody, the Bucks probably would have told Kenny, like, "Hey, Don didn't get hit." So I thought it was fine. It's the direction they want to go in, and there's
Yeah.
interesting things to take into account later when we do see Don Callis again. I do love how Don's like, "Why would you think?" He kind of shifts the blame onto Kenny and starts gaslighting
Yep.
Kenny a little bit, where he's like, "Well, you took it that way. Like I just got caught off guard by him, and when he grabbed me, he's such a strong man. I just fell backwards in his force." He puts it on Kenny. He's like, "Why would you assume that your friend hit me?" Kenny's like, "Well, he's hit you before."
Yeah, he was like, "'Cause he's done it before." Dude, I laughed so hard at that.
It was funny, but so Don
Um,
says that he's gonna go apologize to Hangman, and he goes off into the night.
but the reason this threw me off here is because Kenny's made it a point to kind of, even in storylines, say he does not watch the episodes. So like anything that happens on the show, we're always supposed to believe that Kenny has no idea what happened on Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, so I actually like that. Um, let's see. Next up was the Acclaimed and 2.0 hanging out. Did
A night
this?
on the town.
What's that?
It was a night on the town.
Yeah, it was a night on the town, and dude, I freaking loved this. I did not think we were gonna see like the Acclaimed actually hanging out with them or anything like that, but they did this extremely well, and I loved the whole thing. I thought it was great.
I would have liked to have seen it go a little bit further, but I mean, I think it was good for what it was. It was
Yeah.
really funny. They show up to the hockey game, and the mascot has the scissors. They go out and get milkshakes, which Jake Hager brings to them while saying how much he likes his hat. And then they take the Acclaimed out to dinner, and they rack up a huge bill. At some point, they ended up on a carousel.
That part was hilarious. Dude.
That was really funny. I feel like that wasn't planned. I feel like they were in St. Louis just kind of filming some stuff, and they're like, "Is that a carousel?" Like, hell yeah, it is. I don't know why, but that's just how I felt it was. So yeah, I mean, it was a really fun little segment, and the Acclaim say they will make their decision about whether they will join the JAS next week or not. The video package closes with 2.0 looking at the bill from dinner, and they're like, "Hey, it's expensive," even though they're on the Ocho's dime.
Yeah.
And they say, like, "This better be worth it." And Angela's like, "It's clearly
This
not going.
was It was just
Clearly.
done so well. I did not expect them to, even close to get along. Like, it was just done so well. I loved it.
Right.
All right, next up was absolute heartbreak for me. Just I was destroyed for a moment, dude. Dalton Castle and the boys versus the Blackpool Combat Club. Dalton Castle began what is the greatest entrance in wrestling, but those dastardly assholes in the Blackpool Combat Club absolutely destroy Dalton and the boys before they can even come down the ramp, stealing the greatest entrance in wrestling from us. But this was fantastic. It was done so well to make the Blackpool Combat Club just look like absolute monsters right now. They're just tearing through everybody, and at first people were thinking that Don Callis might have been the one pulling the strings, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But it almost looks like they're just kind of a pack of wild dogs just running around just destroying everybody, huh?
Yeah, so I thought that this was really good heel booking. They know that Dalton Castle and the boys have such a beloved entrance that,
Yes.
again, it is a real uphill battle at this point to get John Moxley and Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli, and also to a lesser extent Wheeler Yuta. It's really hard to get these guys to be booed. They are all fan favorites that people want to love, especially the AEW fan base. Obviously, John Moxley is so important to the fan base. Danielson, same thing. Claudio, same thing. Again, Wheeler to a lesser extent, but still the same thing. And it's just they've had to work a little bit harder, but they've done it in a really smart way. Where, like, yeah, I mean, after tonight, like these guys are full heels, and that's just what it is. I thought this was a great call here.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Danielson, I posted a video today of him Busaiku kneeing Kenny. It's like over and over, just like boom, 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 boom for 15 seconds. It already has 2,000 views. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see here. Next up, by the way, so the Blackpool Combat Club squashed Dalton Castle and the boys in. It was less than 30 seconds. I don't even know how the match wound up actually starting. They slammed Dalton Castle into the stairs. Moxley choked him out. They threw one of the boys in the ring who somehow they started the match, and Claudio hit him with the Ricola bomb, and that was that. It was done and over with real quick.
Yeah, they started the match because they got one of the boys in the ring with Claudio, so it was two legal
Okay,
guys.
yeah.
So you
Kind
start
of just
you ring the bell at that point.
Yeah, they kind of just stood him up, and he was just like, "Sure, I'm gonna go." We'll do, yeah. Next up, we had a recap of the Wednesday night from last week with the Bucks and Kenny and Vikingo match. Kenny cutting a promo on Jeff Cobb in the New Japan. This was a long time ago that Kenny cut that promo because he had that nasty black eye. When was that? Was that from 9 months ago? Or was that a recent promo from Kenny?
That was during New Year's Dash in Japan back in January.
Okay, so that was when Kenny made his comeback and he went over to Japan. That's right. Jeff Cobb is the one who's been out for 9 months, so I was thinking that, maybe that was from back then.
Kenny got the black eye from the Osprey match, if I recall correctly.
Oh, yeah, that's when Osprey kicked him in the face. I remember that when he was doing the headstand thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, he kicked him pretty good. But this was fantastic, man. I couldn't wait to see this Jeff Cobb versus Kenny match. I loved this. It was like a video package. They combined everything. It was like a recap of the Bucks going into the ambulance, a recap of Kenny versus Vikingo, and then the whole 9 yards. It was pretty cool the way that they put all that into one little video package there.
So real quick little thing, because obviously we're live right now during Ring of Honor due to scheduling.
Yes.
So Claudio has revealed a new Ring of Honor World Title belt, and one of the side plates has Jay Briscoe hitting a Jay Driller.
Where did he put it at?
I just saw it on Twitter, So obviously we're not watching Ring of Honor, but he does. He unveils the new belt in a promo on Ring of Honor.
I'll have to check it out when I get there.
Yeah, I'll probably watch Ring of Honor tomorrow. I'm off this weekend for my birthday, so I'll probably watch it tomorrow morning.
All right. Well, I'll be there with you on Saturday. So
Anything to keep you away from WrestleMania.
hey, night one, I could care less. I couldn't care less about night two either. I just want to see Cody lose. I'm gonna be so happy.
I don't think he's losing, man.
I don't think anyone thinks he's losing. It's like 99-1. All right. Next up, we had Tony Schiavone backstage with Kenny getting ready, literally in gorilla. Kenny is literally standing in gorilla. Oh, go ahead.
You skipped over the whole Hangman segment.
Oh, I did. I thought for some reason I started to do that, and then you gave me that little update there. You're right. Okay, so real quick, Don is backstage apologizing to Hangman, or walks up to Hangman and begins to give his apology when the Blackpool Combat Club attacks Hangman from behind. They beat down Hangman real quick, and Callis looked pretty pleased there. He had a big old smile on his face, and he looked at Jon Moxley, and he put his hand out for a handshake, and he ate the nastiest forearm I have ever seen an old man take in a ring. Or not in a ring, I'm sorry. In backstage in a wrestling show. He ate an absolute just stiff forearm from Moxley. And it appears that in the recoil from this, he hit his head on a light backstage, and the camera turned over to look at Don, and he was bleeding something fierce for a moment there. So this was awesome. A lot of people thought he had bladed, but it does look like the report is that he hit his head on a light. I'm not sure if that's true or not. The blood looked a little purple to me. So I'm just wondering if they're going to have some sort of, that was a intentional type thing with the Blackpool Combat Club, making him bleed there to make it look convincing. But what do you think? Do you think they're going to be having Don mixed with the Blackpool Combat Club here, or do you think that completely ruled it out?
So something that I saw that I took note of was, so obviously Don reaches out, extends his hand to Hangman with this grin on his face, right? And so the Blackpool Combat Club, they jump Hangman. Afterwards, Don goes to keeps his hand extended with that grin on his face, and then goes to extend it to the Blackpool Combat Club to Jon Moxley. I took this. I could be wrong, but I was like, what if Don is leading the Blackpool Combat Club now, and this was like Don was going to reveal himself here, and then Mox was probably like, nah, man, like we got to make it look real that there's a beef here, so he knocks out. You know what I mean? Don.
Yeah.
That's where my thought process was, because that's just how I interpreted it. Obviously, you could just see that it's Don being a shitty piece of shit, which definitely possible. But for me, that's how I interpret it. I interpret it as, he was distracting Hangman, and then the Blackpool Combat Club jumped Hangman, and Don's like, "All right, time to reveal my master plan to destroy the Elite. It's worked." And Mox is probably like, "We're not done yet. We have to get Kenny and other people first, and then Bex Don to make it look good."
Yeah. And it looks to me like Don Callis was trying, or he was thinking about breaking the Elite up, but I think he realized that that's impossible. So I think he's going the other route. You know what I mean? What up, Ed?
Hi,
Ed says he does not think Don is in cahoots with the BCC.
Hi, Ed. How are you doing tonight?
Would kind of go against the direction of the group. I mean, would it? Don could just be like inserting William Regal's slot here. You know what I mean? Like, not that that's a good idea. I'm just saying.
I think that you got to keep in mind Don's gimmick is the invisible hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think anything's possible for Don Callis.
True. All right. So next up, we did get Kenny backstage, like literally in gorilla, about to go out for his match with Jeff Cobb. And Tony Schiavone comes up real quick, and he's like, hey, Kenny, real quick. I know you got a match here, but I just wanted to tell you the Blackpool Combat Club just kicked the shit out of old Don Callis over there. And Kenny's like, "What? You're telling me this now? Like I'm about to walk up these freaking stairs to go to the match." And I was just like, Tony Schiavone is 100% a heel. This guy, like, that was a heel move if I've ever seen one.
From Tony? No. It's just, I don't think so. But yeah, no, I mean, it adds to the match, which was a really, again, really smart storytelling, really smart booking. I mean, I say it a lot, but it's just they keep doing smart things. You would expect Kenny to beat Jeff Cobb on AEW television.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can also add a little bit of suspense to the match where you could argue like, well, Kenny's mind's not on it right now. Like it creates a possibility that it makes sense where you could argue that Jeff Cobb could beat Kenny.
Yeah, completely agree. What
Um,
up, Coog?
So yeah, I thought that this was a really smart little thing to do. I mean, it adds to the storytelling that we're going through right now, and it adds a plausible outcome where Kenny could lose, and so I think it's good.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. They put that little bit of doubt in there. This was for the IWGP United States Championship. And Kenny had his IWGP entrance music. He had the Best Bout Machine music from Japan. I actually really liked that. It's rare to get to see that nowadays, obviously. So this was awesome. And, you know, I thought this was an amazing change in styles for Kenny. Last week's match with El Hijo de Vikingo, that was a lucha style. This was like strong style. You know what I mean? Like Japanese strong style. I love seeing how Kenny can just have a match with any style you want. You know, no matter who you throw in there. Just like Danielson, he's about to hand him one of the best matches of their life, you know?
Yeah.
So this was awesome. There was a spot in this that I hadn't seen before. I'm sure it's been done before because it wasn't like super special, but I have never seen this. Jeff Cobb was standing on the middle rope and picked Kenny Omega up into a vertical suplex position and held him there. You know how Bandito held Chris Jericho for a while? You know what I'm saying? Like he did that while standing on the middle rope. Not sure that I have ever seen that. I'm sure it's been done, but that was freaking awesome, dude. Did you see that?
I did.
I was very impressed. This was pretty cool how Jeff Cobb pulled off a V-trigger and then tried to hit a one-wing angel on Kenny Omega. Kenny immediately wiggled out of it because he knows how to counter his own move, obviously. But he just couldn't pick up Jeff Cobb. You know, Jeff Cobb was a big giant dude, a little bit too heavy, and Kenny had some injured ribs going on there. But alas, he did wind up hitting, I think it was 3 V-triggers onto Jeff Cobb. Picks him up in the one-winged angel, and bam, 1, 2, 3. We got ourselves a fantastic match here. After Kenny wins, we get the Blackpool Combat Club surrounding Kenny in the ring. Now, Rome, have you seen the meme of the dog standing in the street and he slowly gets surrounded by like 4 cats?
No,
I'll have to send. What's that?
No, but I get the idea.
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you. It looks just like this, the way that the Blackpool Combat Club climbed up on the out of the ring, and Kenny was just kind of like, oh god. The dog does the same exact thing. It's freaking hilarious. But whose music hits here? And dude, I was not expecting this. I really, really was not. Bryan Danielson's music hits, and I lost my shit. I knew exactly what was about to happen. Like I could have wrote down the exact what was just about to happen, but that didn't bother me at all. I loved every single second of Danielson comes down to the ring, pretends that he is helping Kenny Omega, calls off the Blackpool Combat Club, like, what are you guys doing? This is not what BCC is about. Get off the, he's like, get down. He gets everybody off the apron. And as soon as Kenny Omega's not paying attention, boom, Busaiku knee, baby, straight to the face. And that was one of the best looking Busaiku knees I have seen in a minute. Kenny took that like a freaking champ. And Danielson puts him in the label lock, and the Blackpool Combat Club gets a beatdown on Kenny, and I think it was it Knack and Brandon Cutler coming down. I saw Cutler, but I couldn't tell who the other guy was. Was that Knack?
Yeah, it was not
Yeah, so
Gazelle.
Cutler and Knack got beat up on the apron. And, that wasn't like a half a second. They just took a punch and they were done. This was great, man. This was absolutely fantastic to see Danielson back. Really answered our questions of whether he was like done or not when he said it's time for me to go home. I know it wasn't like, oh my God, he's going, but definitely answered like that little bit of lingering question of, is he done? So I am all for this, man. I'm so happy Bryan Danielson is back.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, this was a really awesome match, and just the aftermatch segment. I mean, I said it last week, and I say it again. It's really smart booking to tell a storyline over the course of your show. Let your show have a common story
Yes.
going through it. This first hour of Dynamite was another, like, in terms of the first hour, an all timer in terms of the hours of Dynamite, because like I look back at my notes, right, and like obviously Jack Perry, Matt Hardy was the Four Pillars thing, but they do a Don Callis interview. They do the Dalton Castle and the Boys versus the Blackpool Combat Club. They do the Hangman angle, and then they do the Kenny versus Jeff Cobb match with the post-match angle, and that's your first hour. And like
Yeah.
that is just such a great setup where when you start the show, you don't even see it 100% shaking out this way. It's just really well told, well done storytelling.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and I really enjoyed it. I thought Danielson coming out was awesome. You weren't really sure where he was going to align, and he did a really great job at selling it because he's yelling at Mox and the rest of them, and he's saying, "This isn't what the Blackpool Combat Club was supposed to be about. This isn't the point of it." And then he ends up attacking Kenny with the Busaiku knee. Um, and yeah, it was awesome.
It's funny how he was saying this isn't the point of it because all they were doing was about to kick Kenny's ass. And I'm like, that is what the Blackpool Combat Club is all about. They
No,
just they
so
kick asses.
well, yeah, but what he was saying was the point of the Blackpool Combat Club was to fight people, but it wasn't to be like this gang mentality going around and jumping people. Like they wanted to get in the ring, ring the bell, and fight. That's what Danielson meant.
Yeah. I get it, but I'm just kind of saying, like, it kind of was what they're about now. You know what I'm saying? They got in there and kicked his ass. I just thought it was great. So good. All right. Next up, we had a pretty, a decent video package for the Guns with their match with FTR. And then they had like an actual promo right after the video package. I thought the promo was done very well by those two guys. And, it really got me because you and we've used this for the end of just about every episode of the podcast. I'm pretty sure every episode of the podcast. The way that they said, when we defeat you guys, your little saying is going to be true. Top guys out. Man, how ironic is it that saying really actually works into this match? Like that's crazy.
So this is gonna sound funny, but I don't think I've ever rooted or will be rooting for FTR as much as I will be on Wednesday.
Same.
But I think our reasons are different.
So what are
So,
your reasons?
well, your reason is because you don't want them to go to the Fed.
Yeah.
My reason is that I feel like if FTR is leaving, CM Punk's not coming back.
Okay, I get that. Yeah. I mean, that's my reason number 2, obviously. Yeah.
Like, look, I think that FTR have, while excellent wrestlers, have gotten annoying. And it's mostly Dax's fault. Shut the fuck up, Ed.
It's going to be
And
the Punk revival versus who did I say Cody's partner was? Damn it, I'm drawing a blank right now.
there's like I can't see a world, no matter what happens, where CM Punk goes back to WWE. That's
Oh,
just not.
Cody, KO, and Sammy. Yeah, there we go.
Anyways, I don't know. I think that FTR, like, part of me thinks that, like, well, if you want to go, go. Like, that's how I feel about FTR at this point. It's like, if you guys are gonna just keep talking about it and keep doing it, whether you're trying to do it because it's character or storyline, whatever it is, you're trying to build up some sort of shadow of a doubt for this match, whatever the case is. Like, all right, well, shit or get off the pot. If you want to go, go.
Oh,
See,
I
Ed,
love Ed, man.
Ed doesn't understand. Ed says it's not the stages of grief. It's the heart wants what the heart wants, and the heart's going to hold out hope. It's not stages of grief. And also not stages of grief because I'll never get over it. Period.
That's the denial part, isn't it?
No, denial would be that everything's fine. Which that's the other thing where it's the stages of grief. At no point have I said this is fine. At no point have I been in denial about it. It's not denial. It's not denial. It's just not. I deny that that's denial.
Oh shit.
Anyways, yeah.
Ed said it too.
FTR.
All right.
We'll see.
Next up was the AEW International Championship. And man, I gotta say, I love saying that a lot more than saying the All Atlantic Championship. It just, for some reason, the AEW International Championship just feels better as it comes out of my mouth. You know what I mean? Butcher versus Orange Cassidy. This match, I freaking loved it. Obviously. I mean, when do I not say that about an Orange Cassidy match? But the Blade attacking Orange Cassidy before the bell, and both of them kind of kicking his ass. I almost didn't think we were getting the match, but they throw him in the ring, and Cassidy just sits in the corner like like fixes his hair for a second, catches his breath a little bit, and he's like, yeah, all right, let's go. And then proceeds to have an amazing match with the Butcher, man. And the Butcher basically just beat his ass for like 10 minutes. But of course, that's what Orange Cassidy does. He makes his comebacks towards the end of these matches. The Blade gets kicked out of here because he's got a freaking crowbar. The ref throws the Blade out, but at one point in the match, the Blade shows back up, and he does wind up hitting Orange Cassidy in the back with this crowbar. The ref does not see it. I actually thought we were 100% getting a pin right there. I was like, oh, that's it. They're giving it to the Butcher, you know. But no, Cassidy kicks out in a great 2 count. The Best Friends come down and destroy the Blade. And while the ref is distracted from Orange Cassidy, they take out the Butcher as well. And they throw the Butcher back in the ring. Orange Cassidy hits an orange punch and a beach break for the 1, 2, 3. You know, the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy have been resorting to some the dastardly tactics lately without becoming heels. I really enjoy this. What about you?
Yeah, it's fun. I didn't enjoy this match that much. I thought it was fine.
I'm just a big OC mark now. You got me like,
yeah. I mean, I am too, but I think that I don't know if it was just a lack of chemistry. Maybe these guys don't have chemistry. They've worked together a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Maybe Butcher just doesn't fit Orange Cassidy's style. I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't really clicking for me.
I agree with what Ed said there. There were a few botches from the Butcher. He's not agile enough to keep up with OC. I think he's had a few injuries. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, I definitely agree with that. I just love Orange Cassidy's performances, man. It doesn't really matter who he's wrestling against for me. I'm just kind of like just watching him, you know, just not often there's just one of those guys that's special like that, you know? Yeah, and you and Rome hit it right on the head, you know. He's just not a good opponent for him. Not bad booking, it's just we learned that, you know. We now know.
Right.
But Orange Cassidy retains, and I think this is the most what's the word? This is the most championship retention matches from anybody in AEW, right? Orange Cassidy's got like 11 now, I think.
16.
16. Holy Jesus. That's awesome. All right, next up we had a video package for Jade Cargill with her, you know, feud with Taya Valkyrie. I love how Mark Sterling was in this, and he has a broken nose. So Taya Valkyrie broke Mark Sterling's nose with the Jaded or the Road to Valhalla, whatever you call this move. I thought this was great. I love that Mark Sterling is back with her. Fantastic.
Yeah, thought it was a good. Yeah, it's fun. It was fun promo. You know,
Yeah.
I want them to move it along a little bit. It's
Did
good.
what it needed to do.
Sure.
All right, next up we had a Juice promo on Action Andretti. Apparently they are having a match coming up. And, I'm actually super excited to see this match because this match is actually going to showcase what Juice can really do because I felt like he needed somebody like Action Andretti in there with him who, this kid obviously is incredible as well. This is going to be insane. I'm not sure people are going to be ready for how good this match is going to be.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we had Willow Nightingale versus Ruby Soho, the former tag team. Was very obvious that Willow was not thrilled to be facing her former tag team member. But I actually thought this was a very good match. Ruby has turned it around this past year. I used to not enjoy Ruby's matches in the E or in her first few months in AEW very much, but she has definitely turned it around, and I think Ruby is definitely one of those top tier ladies on the roster now. Huh?
Well, it's good that you brought your sandals out. That's always nice.
The flip flops.
The flip flops. Yeah, I know. I thought this was a really good match. I think this might have been my favorite part of the second hour. I thought this match was had a lot of great storytelling in it. Obviously, with between Willow being conflicted, to Ruby trying to take advantage of Willow, based off their friendship, to Ruby cheating to win. They jump Willow after the match. I just thought this was all around great storytelling. I have one complaint about the storyline right now, and that would be I need the babyface women to get smarter because
Right.
they need to stop. Like, okay, we have Willow, we have an AW homegrown versus one of the outcasts, and the outcasts are all going to come to the ring together. And the homegrown girls, we're like 4 weeks into doing this now, and they're still coming out alone
Yes.
with Riho and Sky Blue. Like, we'll be ready when the time comes. Like, no, just go down the ring with Willow. I understand not doing it tonight, but the problem is that they did it the last like 3 weeks, and they're just setting up different matches and different stories. So I get it, but tonight was a night where like I wouldn't have done it, especially because you have Jamie Hayter return. I would have
Yep.
just had Jamie Hayter do the return.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. This has to be the last time we see one of these homegrown girls go out there alone. They have to group up now. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I think you're going to see that next week. The reason I think that is because obviously you have Jamie Hayter versus Riho for the title. I think that the Outcasts are going to have this match get thrown out. That's just my theory. And I think you're going to see both sides of the homegrown talent kind of come together.
yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite parts in this match here was Saraya almost tripped over the wires on a cameraman, and she turned towards the cameraman and she yelled, she's like, "This cameraman's trying to make me trip on his wires." And I don't know if it was her accent, like that British accent, but I laughed so hard. I was like, why did I just laugh so hard at that? I don't know what it was, but I thought that was one of my favorite parts of this whole thing. Ruby hit a no future off the freaking top rope. That looked freaking insane. She hit a second no future and only got a 2.99999. That was a really nice spot there. Tony Storm and Saraya with the distraction out there, casting distraction. She gets the win with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. She hits the roll up for the 1, 2, 3. She puts her feet up on the ropes, and I think it was Tony Storm held on to her feet, causing the ref to count 1, 2, 3. So Riho gets the win with some cheating. And of course, all three girls go to start the beatdown after the match. Riho and Sky Blue come out for the save, but they actually start to get beat down for a second. And Jamie Hayter, our AEW Women's World Champion, shows up with the actual save and chases everybody off. This was awesome. Love seeing me some Jamie Hayter. Fantastic to have her back on the screen. So I thought this was freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we had the Will Hobbs promo. That was decent. I didn't write much down about the Will Hobbs promo. Did you?
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, it was a quick one. All I wrote was Hobbs promo, so I don't even remember it. It must have been pretty quick. But next up, we had the return of Adam Cole, baby, versus Daniel Garcia in our main event here. Now, I know this was Adam Cole's big return, and this was leading into the AEW All Access show, which is, I think, the reasoning behind Adam Cole going on last here. I think they wanted people to see his match, his return, and that finish there with Britt, standing tall, nice in the ring, and then the All Access show started. I totally understand that. But like Ed said in the chat, and like you said earlier, that first hour was so good that it made the second hour feel kind of lackluster or a little bit meh, you know what I mean? I feel like if we would have swapped out, the first match should have been Adam Cole's return. Like, here we go. We're starting Dynamite with Adam Cole's return, baby. And then Kenny getting the main event. I feel like that may have caused both hours to be equally good, you know what I'm saying? But I completely get that they wanted to, to go into all access. I don't know. That first hour was so good that it did feel a little lackluster in the second hour. And it was Adam Cole's return, so I kind of felt a little off about that, but it was still great. That's a very small nitpick here,
Yeah, I mean, Ed said it best, that the first hour was just so on point and it was just perfect. It was a perfect hour. That the second hour kind of went into it, and like, again, if I were them, I would have. I understand that they have to have Cole be the main event, so I would have just spread it out, because again, we talked about it earlier, right? I mean, in order, the first hour was the Jack Perry versus Matt Hardy, the Don Callis interview, 2.0 takes acclaimed on the town, Don Castle and the Boys Squash, the Hangman segment, and then Kenny and Cobb, right?
Yeah.
So like, my thing is that you had all of this stuff front loaded into the first hour. And while it's great for that first hour and it leads to you calling it an all-timer hour, which I did,
Yeah.
but then just kind of goes downhill from here. Like, I would have had, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. I don't think it was necessarily a mistake, but I don't know, actually. I wouldn't have Cassidy start the show here. I would have switched Cassidy and Kenny matches for one. I would
Okay.
let that go in the second hour. I just would have spread it out to let it bleed into the second hour. I still don't think you open with OC here, though. I think that you want to open with the MJF promo, which with the MJF segment is what you want to start the show with. AEW doesn't usually start with a promo, and they did, and they had a match. But my point is, like, it was a segment that led to a big promo for them,
Yeah.
and they wanted MJF in that spot, as they should.
Hey, we all know Tony learns from everything. So, I mean, if you would even consider this a mistake, which I really don't, when you make a perfect first hour, that's a win. You know what I'm saying? But, if you were to consider that some sort of mistake, Tony does learn from all of his stuff. So, I was very happy with this match here. Adam Cole basically sold for about 15 to 20 minutes. He was doing a great job selling. The referee kept doing a great job of the psychology of the match of, Adam Cole's just now coming back from a head injury, and the ref kept checking on him like he was super worried about Adam Cole the whole match, every time he took any bump that looked like it was on the head. And of course, what was Daniel Garcia doing? Pile driver after freaking pile driver, man. Like, I think he took 3 pile drivers in this match. That was just wild.
So. Yeah.
But this was a great match. Adam Cole, obviously hits the Panama Sunrise, pulls the knee pad down, hits the boom for the win. I thought this was awesome. Very good to see him back. And man, as soon as he's up there celebrating his win, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, her music hits and she comes down to the ring. She gets in the ring there with Adam Cole and they have a wonderful kiss. I will admit I was yelling kiss, 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 kiss. I don't know why. I was just doing it. Um, they had themselves a nice moment in the ring. And then we got a crazy amount of streamers and confetti for Adam Cole's return and his victory. Even Adam Cole had to laugh here. Did you see when he laughed? Like, he was covered in streamers and he was just like, holy shit. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Excellent way to go off the air and lead right into All Access. I thought this was an excellent episode of Dynamite. You know, obviously you and I had a couple of things we would have swapped around, but I thought this was a great episode. Had a freaking perfect first hour. Great episode. Great episode.
I agree. I mean, I think Dynamite's doing some of the best TV it's done in the last, the last few months have been some of the best TV they've done, probably. I don't know if ever, but it's been really good. It's been really, really good.
Yeah.
There's one guy out there who could make it better, but,
Yeah, Ed says he almost hates when they acknowledge real life couples on screen, but this one gets a pass because, you know, we legit didn't know if he'd ever be back. Yeah, you know, and they both won the Owen Hart tournament, you know what I mean? So like this is an established couple, you know what I mean? This is as close to our Macho Man and geez, I'm drawing a blank right now. Help me out here.
sorry, what did you say?
Macho and Elizabeth. My God, I was about to slap myself. This is as close to Macho and Elizabeth as we'll get. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's kind of an established, you know, a thing in AEW. So I agree with you. I think this one gets a pass. I really hate it when Sammy and Ty are doing it, but it is what it is. And we just now acknowledged Jungle Boy and Anna Jay with the MJF promo. So looks like they might be trying to inject a little bit more of the relationships into the show, possibly for All Access coming up. You know, maybe we'll see a little bit of that stuff, but I hope they keep a lot of the reality out of it and keep it like it was on this first episode. There was not very much reality TV in it other than just backstage, you know?
You know, I'm just gonna say it, and it is what it is. Maybe I'm just trying to retaliate a little bit here, but Macho Man and Elizabeth, right? I think a bunch of you old timers just really like that dynamic because you guys were kids. It was probably the best thing on the television at the time, but it was mid.
No, Ed, I didn't mean they were gonna like do that storyline. I'm just saying it's like an established, you know, couple is all. I was just, you know. But yeah, that was a great episode. I can't wait to go watch some Ring of Honor now. I don't know why they aired Ring of Honor at 9:00 tonight. I'm assuming there was something that made them change the time slot. I'm not sure what it was, but maybe we'll find out on Twitter or something.
I mean, I think there were a few. I think you were still in diapers. I was born in '93, so
Yeah, I was born in 85. I vaguely remember it happening.
yeah, I was born in '93. I don't let nostalgia glasses fog my peripheral. You know what I mean? Especially in wrestling. I'm able to skate by and live in the present.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to go over, or you want to go into any more detail on our CM Punk feelings or anything like that, or?
Sure. I don't know, man. I think it's a really interesting thing because you got FTR who are doing a live show tonight. I've been keeping an eye on Twitter to see what goes down with that, but FTR posing with CM Punk in the gym.
I
Like,
know, right?
if FTR lose on Wednesday, I don't think that Punk's coming back. But at the same time, I find it very frustrating. And again, I'm a huge CM Punk fan, but I just think that, man, the adult thing to do is to just get everybody in the fucking room and figure this shit out. And and that's something Tony Khan needs to do. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I get it. And Dave the other day was Dave had the most like absurd logic where Dave was saying that there's not extra money to be made because they don't do contracts like that anymore. Everything's guaranteed. And I would argue that Dave is not looking at this in the bigger picture, which in and of itself is really odd because Dave is usually that kind. Dave usually kind of looks at things on a little bit of a more like, hey, look at the ripple effects of things, because he's arguing that like, oh, they'll make so much money, but TV, like their contracts are all guaranteed, and I get that, but you mean to tell me that as a company you don't want more pay-per-view buys and higher merch sales and more ticket sales and like I don't know, it seems nonsensical to me, Dave's point on it, where it's just like, what are you talking about? Just because they're not going to make extra money based off of like I don't know. It just seems ridiculous because it helps the company grow, which means down the line they can get more money from the network, which means that they can pay the talent more. Like like you got to be looking at it in the macro sense where it's like you want to get bigger. And like and that should be
Yeah.
the point. And I just feel like Dave's point was just ridiculous.
Like I saw where Dave was coming from. It definitely
Sure.
made my eyebrow go up. Like he is kind of right. Like they're not going to get any extra paycheck from this, but everybody that's involved has a, what's the word I'm looking for? They have an interest in the company doing better. You know what I mean? Everybody that was involved in that thing, if the company does better, they're going to do better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
so, it is what it is. My biggest thing would be, let's say that they did bring Punk back right now. Obviously, he's going to need to address the locker room and say, hey guys, whatever happened, blah, 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 blah. I cannot see Chris Jericho not opening his mouth. And just imagine what Chris Jericho would have to say on his little mini lecture to CM Punk. And I guarantee you there might be another fight. You know what I mean? Like that's what I see happening at the moment if that like comes to pass.
See, part of me just I don't know how, and again, it's just where it doesn't make sense because Chris Jericho's a very smart guy. John Moxley's also a very smart guy. Bryan Danielson's a very smart guy. CM Punk's a very smart guy. And again, like we can argue about toxicity and all this, that, and the third. I get it. But I just can't see like I'm not just saying it because it's CM Punk. But like I would lose a lot of respect for Chris Jericho if he wasn't willing to just do business.
Oh no, I'm sure he would be, but I'm saying like when Punk comes back, Jericho's gonna be like, you know what, you were an asshole, blah 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 blah, and like Punk's not the type of guy to take that little mini lecture that would be coming. You know what I'm saying?
If I was Tony Khan, look, right. If I was Tony
Yeah,
Khan.
I'd be like, don't say a fucking word to him. That's what I'd say. I'd be like, Jericho, don't say a fucking word.
No, it's not even that. I would sit them all in a room. If I'm Tony Khan, I would get all your producers together, I would get all your people together, and I would be like, we're going in. And I'm talking like Dustin, Sanjay, QT, like like fucking like all like Jeff Jarrett, like even I would fucking just pull him in there and I would just be like, we're going in there, with Jericho, the Bucks, Kenny, Punk, Mox, just for the hell of it because he hasn't been in the limelight, but he's been around the storyline with Danielson. I would get Danielson in there as well. And I would just lock the door. I would fly to the Alps for a weekend. And go
That
to
is a lot of testosterone in that room.
yeah, I get it, but it's just what you got to do. I would just pull them all in. Pat Buck, yeah, sorry, Pat Buck, of course, Pat Buck. I would bring all of them. I would bring all of your top off corporate, not corporate, but your top creative guys, office guys, whatever you want to call them. And I would just be like, look, guys, there's a lot of fucking shit here right now. You all need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck who started it. I'm finishing it. It's
Have
done.
Sting walk in, not say a word, just hold his fucking bat up.
I mean, seriously, I mean, like it's just ridiculous. And if they can't make it work, honestly, shame on all of them. Like seriously, shame on Punk, shame on Jericho, shame on all of them because it's just come on guys, like this is ridiculous. Like you have the AEW is the greatest wrestling promotion of all time. And I'm gonna say it, and I don't care if people disagree with me. Like I grew up as a WWE fan, and there were a lot of things about WWE that I loved back in the day. But I mean, we got to call a spade, and like I'm looking at this product, and this is the greatest wrestling product I've ever seen. Like it just
Oh
is.
yeah.
And like you guys, they could be as great as they are, as perfect as they are, as excellent as they are. They could be better, and that's my point. Like just do business. You don't have to like each other. You don't have to be friends. You don't have to share locker rooms. I'm sure that like they give like you saw it on All Access tonight. Jericho has his own locker room. Not tonight, last night. It's like the scene where the Bucks are talking to Britt. They have that sign in the background that like WWE has it too, where it's like Sting is in this direction, Jericho's in this direction. So
Yeah,
like,
that was cool. That was really cool to see.
yeah, I mean, but it makes sense. But like, yeah, so Jericho's got his own locker room. Jericho doesn't need to sit there and be friends with CM Punk. Same thing with any of them. Mox doesn't have to be friends with CM Punk either. Just go out there and like, and this type of stuff usually leads to better product. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think like be adults, do business, and as much as I love Tony Khan, I think Tony Khan has been doing a phenomenal job. I'm gonna hold him accountable on this as well as the leader. Like, okay, like there's these issues. You need to make a decision soon on what you're doing. And to be honest, I wish they would just fucking do it. Like, if if CM Punk's not coming back, like just fucking say it. And if he is coming
Right?
back, just do whatever you're gonna do. Like, I'm at a point where I'm just irritated beyond all belief. And also, even if the Punk thing is real with the Instagram post, it's like, man, this could have been if you had brought him back sooner. Maybe he wouldn't have even made that fucking Instagram post.
Yeah, that's another
For
one.
all you know, he's sitting at home like, fuck, man. Like nobody wants to talk to me. I want to talk, but no one wants to talk to me because I'm at home. Um, I don't know. I think Tony Khan should do the right thing, which is the adult thing, which is you get all these guys in the room and be like, you guys are this room is comprised of the goats in wrestling, not just modern day. Like
Yeah.
you got Jericho in there, you got Mox in there, the Bucks, Kenny, Punk, Danielson. Like you mean to tell me that these kings, these guys can't put their fucking egos aside to have the most stacked roster in the history of professional wrestling? Like it's shame on all of them, which is absolutely. And I'm a fan of all of them. I'm a
Let's
diehard of
fucking
most of
go.
them, and I'm a big fan of all of them. And it blows my mind.
Yeah.
They can't make this work.
I do have faith that they can make it work. Do I think it's gonna happen? At this moment, after watching that first episode, I don't think it's gonna happen. But I do still think that it could. And that would be a good thing for AEW. I really do think it would be. Have Punk return as just this heel with nuclear heat that everyone is like, fuck this dude. You know what I mean? Like, I think it could work very well.
I mean, I really hope that's what they're going for. I mean, if you ask me right now where I'm at with it, I'm honestly like so in the I don't know category. Like it's so 50-50 because again, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense about it. Um, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be in 50-50 mode until we get something concrete and substantial that tells me one way or the other that it's happening or it's not happening. Um, I mean, I guess yeah, we just have to wait and see and ride it out. I guess just keep on, keeping on.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's a little annoying is, I'm a rip the band-aid off type of guy, you know what I mean? Just
Right.
let
Well,
me
I agree. I mean, if he's gone, just say like he's not coming
yeah.
back. Um, Ed says they're better with Punk there to tell the rest of the story, but they're not hurting and will still grow just fine without him to the point he's hurting them more than he helped them. So I disagree with Ed's sentiment here. I mean, no, they're not hurting, but that doesn't mean that like when you have an NFL season, right? And you're a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, and you have this amazing roster. When that trade deadline comes around, you're usually buyers because as great as your roster is, you can always do something to make the roster better. And if you like, I do not for 1 second think that AEW is better off without CM Punk. I just don't think that. I don't think that they're better off without Jericho or Mox or the Bucks or Kenny or Danielson or Punk. Like these guys are all stars of of really the highest echelon in today's wrestling world. So I mean, I'm
Yes.
like, there's just no no. I just
So
don't. You
so
can't
I
just.
agree. I agree with everything you say, and then I agree with what Ed says until that last sentence there of he's hurt them more than he's helped them. I wouldn't say that because what I would say is that if you look at before Punk showed up, their ratings were where they are after right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same as before he showed up now. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So it just went back to where it was before. So he didn't exactly hurt them. That would have been them like losing, tons of viewers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so Ed brings up a great point, and he says, "What happens when another brawl out happens, though?" But this, and I understand that concern, but this is where I do again. I said it, and I say it again. You got to hold Tony Khan accountable to this. This is his
Yeah.
company. I expect Tony Khan, and Tony doesn't need to change necessarily. Like, there was this weird take on wrestling Twitter last week, Jeff, that like boggled my fucking mind. That people were like, "Well, Tony Khan just needs to treat his wrestlers more like Vince McMahon did," and I'm like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, what is actually wrong with these people?" But no, you don't need to treat them like shit. Just make sure they understand that, like, hey, this is not how we do business. If you want to do business, come and talk to me. Like, but like, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do like, you're not going to just unload on people on the media scrum. You're not going to get into backstage fights. Like, no, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say to that question is if it happens again, people are fired on the spot. You know what I mean? It's like, you're done. Bye. And,
And I
it's
again, I
just,
completely disagree with what Ed said. So Ed says that the brawl out erased what he did before, put them in in the negative for a few months. So like I get what you're saying, but I don't fully agree with that. It's like, yes, wrestling was a bummer for a little bit, but I mean, I don't think it was necessarily that big of a deal. In fact, I would argue that a lot of people praised the product following Brawl Out because a lot of the younger talent got a push a little bit. You know, the Bucks were gone, Kenny
yeah.
was gone, and Punk was gone, and what did you see? People were pretty happy to see some people that we hadn't seen on TV in a little while.
I'm
And
just,
again, bringing them back, obviously, you can make the argument like, well, then those young talent are going to lose their spot. I mean, AEW's got more programming now than they did when Brawl Out happened.
I'm
Um,
just so biased. I want his ass back. That's it. That's all I can say.
I mean, I am not gonna lie, I have a bias too, but I just think, uh, like Ed, you're not 100% wrong, but I think Ed, you're looking at it in such a black and white, like, there's shades to it, and it's not just as simple as all of the good that CM Punk did was washed away with the brawl out. Like that's just not true.
Yeah. See, I hadn't heard the ratings suffered. I guess having him and the Bucks gone for that month afterwards while the Bucks were suspended, I would argue it was the well, I guess I can't really, but it was a combination of the lack of the elite and Punk. So I do see how that the ratings were hurt there, but you know, it is what it is. But like we said, I would put it on Tony that if anything like this happens again, the entire roster should know like this shit will not fucking happen again. If it does, there will be consequences. I mean, the elite were stripped of their titles right off the bat. You know what I mean? So it's like there are consequences. It's not like Tony just sat back and let it happen and the locker room feels like anything can just go now. You know what I mean? That was a pretty harsh punishment for your like three of your top guys. So
And I once again disagree with that. Ed says the shades are opinion, black and white are the facts. No, shades are details, my friend. Shades are not opinions. Shades are details.
uh,
There's details that go involved to all facts, and those details make the facts different.
I'm gonna pretend like I understand what you're talking about.
Wait, you don't? What do you mean?
But I think that'll do it for us for tonight. You want to go ahead and close us out, sir?
Absolutely. This has been episode 130 of the Broken Tables podcast. Ed is admitting that he's wrong in the chat. He said wrong. Ed, look, man, it takes a real adult to admit he's wrong. Much like the adults that we need in the room at AEW. So I respect and I appreciate that. So good job. This is episode 130 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us here live. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe on the way out if you haven't already. Make sure you check out our other videos. We have the Game Room podcast on Mondays where we talked about video games this past week, game preservation and physical media, and why all that stuff's important. Tomorrow we have a lot of content coming to the channel. We have the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Supercard of Honor will be tomorrow night. Also, Rampage will go live right after the pay-per-view. So a lot of content there. I believe I don't know if we're doing a watch along or a review, but I don't know. It's up to Jeff, I guess. Jeff, what are we doing?
So this is for Supercard. Is that tomorrow night?
Well, so Supercard's at 7, and then Rampage is right after Supercard.
That's a good question. We'll figure that out tomorrow afternoon. I might have to clock out of work early. I might take an hour off.
You heard it here first. But anyways, yeah, make sure you follow us at our social medias in the description. Join our Discord. We have a good time there, even when Ed is continuing to be wrong about many a things, such as QT the GOAT, CM Punk. Man, Ed's great, but he has some bad takes. You know what I mean? Until next time. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Oh, thank you,
all right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Top Guys out. Buttons.